Hi, everyone. I'm Paula Harvey of Tejon Ranch Conservancy. Today, we are going to do a benchmark activity. We're going to take everything that we've learned from lesson 1 to lesson 6, and you're going to have this as a free choice activity with lots of different options. But you're going to incorporate all of these things that we've learned in a free choice nature journaling activity. So the title of this journal will be Lesson 1 through 6 Benchmark, Show What You Know. Again, this is free choice. You get to choose what you're going to study. And in it, you're going to also choose the NGSS Cross-Cutting Concepts and the journal strategies that we have been using in designing your own journal page. This is a time to really focus on making this your very own journal page and creating and defining your very own style. Nature journaling is a very personal experience. Nature journalists all over have very different styles of journaling. They have different interests. You have artists who are much more focused on drawing or painting the animal or plant that they are observing in a very beautiful, stylistic way. But you also have people who are writers like me, who would rather write a lot of things down. You have people who like to diagram as opposed to draw. That's all very fine. So it's time for you to discover what are your strengths, what is it you enjoy what you enjoy doing, and really focus on that today. When you create a journal page, you're doing several things. One, you're observing nature very deeply, and that's the function of nature journaling, to really hone in on those observation skills. Second, you're tickling your curiosity. You're asking questions. You're looking and discovering things and wondering why these things exist and what their function is. You're expressing your very own unique style. No two nature journals look the same. And of course, you're learning. So what you'll be doing today, you're going to keep in mind all that we've learned so far as you create your own entry on anything or things. It may be something you want to compare and contrast, so you need 2 things, or it might be that you want to do another field guide, so it might be 3 to 5 things. But anything that you decide you want to study, you're going to incorporate as many of those strategies and the NGSS cross-cutting concepts as you can in this journal entry. If you can get them all in, that's wonderful. You're going to express your own very unique style and your personality. And then you're going to finish with your very own reflection. Let's take a little time and review all the things that we've gone over in the previous 6 lessons. Always, when you're starting your journal, even before you know what you're going to be drawing and studying and writing about, you're going to do your metadata. That includes the day, the date, the time, the location, including the habitat, and the weather, which includes the temperature, the wind, and the cloud covering. You're going to do your ABCs, your 1, 2, 3s, and your drawing. The ABCs is the writing part, where you're going to write what you notice. Those are your observations. You're going to ask questions, and then you're going to hypothesize about the possible answers to those questions, those could it be's. And then this reminds me of, this is where you're making your personal connections to previous experiences. That's where it really helps with memory. Next, you're going to do the metrics, the measurements, things like height, distance, speed, weight, length, area, elevation, all of those things and more. And you're going to do some form of drawing or sketch or a labeled diagram. Let's remind you of the different strategies that we have used thus far. So one strategy was compare and contrast. That's where you're looking at more than one thing, 2 things, 3 things, and you're going to show how they are the same. and you're going to show how they are different. In it, you might want to add a Venn diagram to your journal because a Venn diagram is a really efficient way to show in a very small space what's the same and what's different. The other strategy is zoom in, zoom out, and you want to do some form of that. In zoom in, zoom out, we did 3 different views. We did a life-size view, a close-up or magnified view, and a distance view. It might be that you're going to do a life-size view, and then you want to do a detailed sketch of something closer up. That's zoom in, zoom out. And now let's take a look at those next generation science standards, the cross-cutting concepts that we have gone over. 1, patterns. Nature is full of patterns, and scientists often use patterns to group or categorize species, or as clues to underlying processes or forces at work. A pattern exists when a set of numbers, colors, shapes, or sounds are repeated. Patterns can be found everywhere in animals, in plants, in living and non-living things, even in our solar system. And there are special patterns called fractals, which are spirals. And fractals are patterns that repeat itself, but at different scales, different sizes. The second cross-cutting concept that we talked about is cause and effect. Events have causes. We can think of nature as a world full of mysteries or effects and try and explain what might have caused what we see. Cause and effect relationships may be used to predict events. In scientific practice, deducing the cause of an effect is often difficult, so multiple hypotheses exist. And this is where we get to that could it be part, where you say, I notice, and then you write, I wonder, and you ask a question, and then you think about all the different ways that question might be answered. Could it be this? Could it be that? And look at the extinction of the dinosaurs. We don't know what caused the extinction of the dinosaurs, but there's several hypotheses about it. That includes things like a meteor hitting the Earth, climate change, starvation, a combination of all 3 of those, many other different hypotheses. Those are all those could it be's. The next cross-cutting concept that we talked about is systems and system models. A system is a collection of parts which are interconnected and they continually affect each other over time. A system can carry out functions that its individual parts cannot. To understand systems, the relationships between or among the parts must be examined. Studying systems is about studying those interconnections and the relationships between things. Models can be used to represent systems and their interactions, such as inputs, processes, and outputs, and energy and matter flows within that system. And the last of the cross-cutting concepts that we have gone over so far is structure and function. A structure is anything made up of parts. Plants and animals have many structures that help them to survive. An object's shape and structure relate directly to how it functions. We can observe those structures and attempt to explain how they work. Natural structures can be analyzed to determine how they function. And the functions and properties of organisms can be inferred. Again, could it be? From their overall structure and the way their components are shaped. Now that we've reviewed those processes, the concepts, and we are now going to start our own journal entries. So here's what you will do. You will create a journal entry on anything you're interested in studying. It can be more than one thing, or it can be one single thing. Use 2 pages to complete your journal entry. Make sure you have plenty of space so you can do all of those sketches and the drawings, the close-ups, the zoom in, zooms out, the different writing, the measurements. 2 pages. In it, include all of those basics that we just went over, the metadata, ABCs, 1, 2, 3s, and the picture, drawing, sketch, diagram. Include at least one strategy, but more is better. Zoom in, zoom out is one strategy, and compare and contrast is the other. And at least one NGSS cross-cutting concept. And again, you can probably use all of them. See how many you can use to touch upon in your journal entry. Patterns, cause and effect, systems and system models, and structure and function. Once you are out in the field, you're going to put in your metadata and you're going to title your journal entry, and then plan the layout of your journal entry. Make sure you've got plenty of space for writing. Make sure you have space for drawing. And once you get back from the field, after you have finished your journaling, go back to your computer and do a little additional research about your subject. Now, something people have asked me is, if I don't know the name of the thing that I'm studying, such as a plant or a particular bird, then I haven't really done this successfully. And the answer is absolutely not. That's not true. You can study an animal or a plant very, very closely and do exactly what we've talked about, the basics, the ABCs, the 1, 2, 3s, and the drawing, and know more about the thing you're studying than someone who knows the name. Just because you know the common or the scientific name of something does not mean you know it. Remember though, when you are online, evaluate your sources. Anyone can post to the internet. That doesn't make that information correct. So when you're researching scientific information, the best sites are educational institutions and nonprofit environmental organizations. Web addresses that end in .edu or .org will offer the best information. And always cite your source of information in your journal. Once you have finished, now it's time to do your reflection. And here again, you have free choice for how you're going to do this reflection. If you've gotten very comfortable writing that scientific paragraph that includes that topic sentence and then 4 sentences that go over things like patterns and compare and contrast and systems and system models, those type of things, go ahead and write that. And don't forget that ending sentence as well. If you'd rather try something else, you might want to write a diary entry just talking about your thoughts and feelings as you were journaling today. Or you might want to write a poem and be really artistically creative in that area. Write a letter to yourself that you would read in the future, or write a letter to a younger student teaching them what you have just learned. I've created a checklist for you because you've gone over so many things in these lessons. So I want to make sure that everything that you have learned, you apply to this particular free choice assignment. So let's just go over them. Starting with your metadata includes the date, the day, the time, the location, which is the place and habitat, the weather, which is temperature, wind, cloud cover. The title. Today's title is Lesson 1 through 6 Benchmark, Show What You Know. That you have done a page layout, so you are planning ahead on how you're organizing that page. Your basics, ABC 1, 2, 3, the picture drawing or the label diagram. And then you're going to include at least one, but hopefully both strategies that we've gone over: compare and contrast, zoom in, zoom out, and at least one, if not more, of the NGSS cross-cutting concepts: patterns, cause and effect, systems and system models, structure and function. A lot of times you are including those cross-cutting concepts when you're asking those questions. I wonder what the function is of this particular structure. That covers structure and function, even if what you're looking at more is patterns. Just keep in mind, you want to see if you can include all of these in what you are observing. And finally, choose one of these reflection strategies: a scientific paragraph, a diary entry, a poem, a letter to yourself, or a letter to a younger student. So you are welcome to print out and use this check sheet to help you remember everything that we have gone over so far, and that will help you to make this journal entry a very complete and thorough exercise. And that's it for now. Quick reminder, if you had fun doing this activity, do another just for the fun of it. The more journaling you do, the better you get at it and the more you learn. Thanks again for joining me. I look forward to seeing you at our next meetup.